1% of a reserve. I don't want to see people become assessed again. The issue with it is I think there's a way to cut on the budget to put a reserve aside, not have to take more money out of people's pockets.
Anybody else? Yes, ma'am.
If you're the assistant to Jerry Mira, how come you haven't been used more? And
He just answered.
what could you have been offering to that job since you're so equipped to handle it?
I would have gladly reviewed books, worked with the management company in any way. I would have helped in anything that they needed possibly done.
Why do you think they didn't ask you then?
Because I was considered the assistant treasurer, it was my opinion, and they said they would call if they needed me. And although I offered my services, actually there was 2 or 3 meetings set up with Howard. I have to worked with a Harold. And he had canceled the appointments with me.
Because I would think that if you're so talented, which I think you are, you could have done more, and that would have allowed Jerry Muir to do the things that you said you couldn't do because he was so busy.
Part of it, I would say, I should have been more forceful towards it. I made a few changes recently in my job position, and I've been tied up for the past 2 to 3 weeks with that, closing off one company and starting a new. So I haven't been persistent. Maybe I need to be more persistent also. So I feel that I'm at fault for not being persistent as I should have been.
Okay, I have one quick question for you, Michelle. If you are elected to the board, how would you utilize the money that we receive from Pegasus, which is close to $1 million?
I'd like to see some of the money go back to the people from the Pegasus. Okay, it might not be a large percentage, but something. Just we need to. I think there was 100,000. I haven't looked at it lately. There was a certain amount that has to be divvied out for certain things. We were in the black. We were in the hole. So that has to get taken care of. Okay, or we'll end up assessed. So that has to get taken care of. But there's other things that can be cut back upon. That's in the budget.
Yes.
In the past, we have not had a committee that enforces the rules, the fine committee. We have a lot of people and owners here breaking the rules, owning more than 2 units, renting illegally, bringing people, undesirable people here that are not screened at the office like the rules say. What would you do about the enforcing of the rules?
Okay, first of all, I want a committee that enforces the rules. I think I follow every rule that has been set from the day one. For anything they needed, I had my paperwork in hand, I paid all my fees, I did everything I was supposed to do. I come home several times and someone's always in my parking spot. I go to the guardhouse, it's still there. The next day I have to get up early, go to work, I'm driving in a guest spot. Okay, this happens continuously. I don't like it. I don't want, if I follow the rules of my building and I follow the rules of International Village, I expect everybody else to have the same consideration. I'm an enforcer.
Next question. Yes, sir.
I would like you to digest a suggestion and possibly change what you want to do with the money. Many, many years ago, when the community was founded, they sued the builder. And it was a substantial amount of money given back. It was distributed to the people.
All right, I got to ask you to present a question.
Yeah.
This is
Would you reconsider your distribution of the money and put it into reserve rather than giving it back to the individuals?
I always keep an open mind. I like to hear everybody's opinions. I like to view everything and lay it across the table. I want to do what's fair for everybody. But my main concern with International Village is to do what's the best for the people as a whole. Okay, that is my main concern. I'm new here, but I see roofs that are leaking. I see people that haven't gotten money refunded to them that deserved it. I see people with, their stoves aren't functioning because the roof leaked on top of it. I see buildings that don't have windows replaced in it. You know, I want International Village to be like it was. I've heard such wonderful stories about it. It brings tears to my eyes.
Okay.
But I'm always going to be able to listen to everybody and take everything into consideration before I ever vote on anything.
All right, and that concludes the 5-minute Q&A for this candidate. We have the other 2 candidates that showed up so they can present their opening statements. You were here at the beginning. You have 3 minutes to present an opening statement. Then we open for a 5-minute Q&A. Then afterwards, we'll open a Q&A for all candidates. So those of you, again, if you didn't get your questions in, we'll reopen for all candidates. Unfortunately, Mr. Coco had to leave, so he won't be here for additional questioning. But we have, I'm sorry. Terry Clover, you have 3 minutes.
My name is Terry Clove. I'm a resident of St. Moritz. For about a year, oh, can you hear me? A resident of St. Moritz, and of course I've been a resident here for about 10 years. I've lived in Yorkshire for the last 8 years. So I think some of you might have known me. I had the privilege of serving before on the board for about a year, and tried to do as much as possible back then to kind of put band-aids and things so forth on the property, but we know what happened when the storm came through and what we dealt with. Been very busy through the last few years with the economy very strong, but now with things subsiding, the board has asked me if I would consider coming and helping out again with my construction background. I've got about 20 years as a certified general contractor, 15 years as a registered general contractor, so about 35 years as a general contractor. And of course, I recognize the problems we're dealing with, the circumstances we've got with regard to finishing up the projects and what has been ongoing. And it's my hope to be able to help in whatever way we can to continue to finish all of those needs.
Okay, thank you. Q&A, let's, hold on. Okay, go ahead.
Who asked you to register it?
Well, a number of people that are on the board. Of course, I've known Scotty for quite a while. I've known Joe, and of course I've worked with him. A number of my friends have asked me to help out.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, next question.
Very in general, we still have a lot of construction left to be done, especially in this building. There's a report coming in on that, probably tomorrow. The Nottingham building's in bad shape. How do you think your background with them to helping the community proceed again with the construction?
Well, you know, Joe, I was sort of silent on with it pretty much through the whole thing as best I could. Very busy through that time period, but you know, I'm aware of it, and I know exactly what needs to be done. I've walked these buildings, I've been up on top of these buildings, and I have a sincere concern, obviously, with the property that I own here, so it's my concern to make sure that those things are facilitated as quickly as possible, and of course, in order to save everyone here. I don't like paying any of these fees that we're all encountering.
Okay, ma'am, next.
2 questions. One, are you an engineer?
No, I'm not an engineer.
What-
I do work with a number of engineers, but I'm a general contractor, state
Okay.
certified general contractor.
And the second question is, if you are not chosen to be on the board, would you lend your time to assist the construction committee? Even if you're not
I've been doing that, as best with the time that I have. But now, of course, things have changed a little bit, economics have slowed down, so I have a little more time, and they've asked me if I could, would consider trying to help out and finish everything we need.
Any other questions?
Yes.
Yes.
How do you feel about reserves?
Well, I'm not, I haven't had that much background as to what the reserve, of course, I think that we probably want to just facilitate the reserves to work as best we can to help help everything and all the expenses we've got.
Well, currently you don't have any.
Oh, okay, well, I just, I'm not that familiar with what our budget and everything like that is.
And how do you feel about the physical plan, things like the gym without proper maintenance of gym equipment and the racquetball court in disrepair and the cutbacks on what had been amenities here, how do you feel about that?
Well, I'd have to prize it. I noticed a little bit disrepair with regard to the to the facilities here and so forth. So it'd be a matter of just appraising it, seeing whether it's going to work out with whatever. I think we've got a lot of other bigger expenses like Joe's pointing out. Roof, a lot of other bigger expenses to consider, with the roofs and things like that we still got to finish up.
Okay, any other questions?
Yeah, I wanted to ask a question to Michelle, just in general, especially with your background here. Do you think you're getting your money's worth for the payments you're paying here? I mean, I don't, he's concerned about whether there's, what I'm saying. Excuse me? Just repeat the question. Can you repeat your question? I wanted to ask the same question of Michelle, but I didn't get the chance. With Perry's background being so extensive in construction, in general, I'd like to know how the candidates feel about the money that we're spending that everybody spends each month, do they think they're getting their value for their money in terms of maintenance?
As far as the assessment or maintenance?
It's just general maintenance, monthly maintenance, or the operating budget.
I mean, I'd like to try to save it more if we can. We can look at things. It's going to be my objective here on the board, try to do the best I can to see where we can, where we can utilize those funds, to benefit everyone.
Okay, any other questions for this candidate? Yes, ma'am.
Yes. When it comes to free thinking, are you one who follows the leader or think for yourself? You know,
Yeah, I mean, in other words, my point is, if it's right, how reasonable what's being said.
Anything else for this candidate? Okay. We're gonna introduce our final candidate tonight. You have 3 minutes for an opening statement, and then we'll open a Q&A.
I would stand up when I injured my knee today, and that's why I'm a little bit late. I guess you know who I am. I've been to I'm Michael Schenkel, owner of Interlochen 1 Hour, and I've been doing business around here for about 10, 11 years. I've been to most of the board meetings for the last few years. I've been following the issues here at the village and trying to make some suggestions, which were unfortunately not always welcome, but I spoke up and paid the price. The issues that I hope to address will be property values, foreclosures, delinquent maintenance, and security. These are issues facing the entire national housing market and are particularly severe here in South Florida. And in 2009, unfortunately, it's going to get worse. Last year's delinquent maintenance here was $250,000. This year, according to the most recent reports that I have from K&W, it's over $500,000. I think one of the things that we could do is to promote the largely ignored amendment that was approved last year to facilitate the transfer of property here in the village in lieu of foreclosure in what is known as a short sale. When a property transfers in a short sale, the association collects the back maintenance, the special assessment, that otherwise costs the association an average of $10,000 per unit. This year there were about 20 bank foreclosures here in the village and only one short sale. Currently we have over 80 units that are over 90 days behind in their maintenance. Many of these will become bank foreclosures in 2009. And property values are not determined property values are determined by what buyers are willing to pay, not by realtors, as some people would like to suggest. The property values are basically determined by the appearance and condition of the property, financial health of the association, the amenities, the level of security, of course the cost per square foot of the units themselves, and the cost of maintenance. I believe International Village has more potential value than most properties. And I hope, to realize this potential, I hope we'll have a forward-thinking board that is willing to work together.
30 seconds. And we're done.
You still have 30.
I can dance.
Okay, we got the questions. This gentleman has his hand up first.
Are you aware of the course that the Ombudsman Office of the State offers to potential board members, and will you sign up for it?
Well, thank you for that question, Bob. I took the actual Community Association Manager's course, passed it a few years back.
No, the Ombudsman's course.
Well, this is a more detailed course from Chapter 718, but I'm always studying. I'm always studying Chapter 718.
My question-
Yeah, well, yes, I am. To answer your question, the answer is yes.
Okay. 2 questions. You're aware of it, you will attend.
Yes, and yes.
Okay, this gentleman was second. We'll come back to this
Okay, I've
lady.
got a question. You mentioned in your presentation that something along the lines of, I got out of it, that you would like to, by taking over these properties are in foreclosure, that you would personally like to acquire those properties. Is that correct?
Me personally, probably not, but it's possible. I mean, you're allowed to own 4 units here in the village, and I certainly would encourage the owners here to invest in their own community. That's the best way we can.
How many units do you now own?
I own one unit here. Yeah, but I would like to own another one, and
Well, you're allowed to own another one.
you're allowed to own 4. So there has to be 4. 4, you're allowed to own 4 period.
Okay, we're gonna move on. Next question, this lady here.
Michael, what do you think about reserve and the amenities that I spoke of before to the other candidates?
Well, unfortunately, I think in this economy, with money as tight as it is for everyone, would be a very difficult time to introduce the reserves. Hopefully next year we could, but I just don't see how people can come up with any more money every month, than we're paying now.
She had her hand up next, and then we'll come back around this way.
Michael, do you live here in the community?
No, I don't.
Okay. Do you feel because you don't live here, you can, if you're elected as a board member, you can make decisions
No.
the same way if you lived here?
Very
Because
much
you're not
so.
here 24/7?
Well, according to our condo documents, which I helped revise last year, we're allowed 25% investors, 25% renters, which is a very important part of the community. Therefore, I think the board should be represented and those investors be represented. But I also think the board has a responsibility to the membership to, hold the new residents to the highest possible standards, and still be able to fill the apartments and the vacancies.
Okay, back here, this lady.
Hi, Michael. I know last year you were encouraging the people to vote for the renting and to buy up the units and everything. I'm just wondering that you only own one and you were interested in buying any. And this last year, why, if you wanted to buy some, why haven't you bought any with all the bargains?
Well, to tell you the truth, I actually bought one for my mother. The only short sale that was done this past year was the one that I did. And the association got about $6,000 to $7,000 that it never would have received. The property was just about to go into foreclosure. I negotiated a short sale and the association got their money. That's the only one out of 20 that the association did get paid for, and that's what we need to do more of.
So then you asked about one.
Okay.
I own one. My own mother owns one.
Okay, Dennis?
Michael, you all know that you're a realtor. And I was wondering, do you work out of your apartment? Or do you have an office, and where is your office?
Well, currently, I don't know if you're aware of it, but I just had the third major cancer surgery end of September. I've spent the last 3 months pretty much, I haven't worked full-time in more than 2 years, 3 years now. I've not been able to really work full-time. My plans are to concentrate on my volunteer work, and when I'm able to work more in the future, I will probably work from home.
In the meantime, we see you going around showing apartments to people. Now, how do you reach these people?
How do I reach them?
Yeah.
They
Well, how
contact-
do they reach you?
Well, I happened to, about 10, 11 years ago, when I first came on the property here at International Village, it was as a new realtor in the business. And people warned me not to come here because it's the most difficult place to get approved and you'll be wasting your time. Well, unfortunately, when you start at the bottom, you got to take what there is. So I came here and tried to develop a rapport with the association, with the office. And the owners that I met began to ask me if I would keep an eye on their properties. And over a period of time, there's 60, 70 owners who have given me the keys to their properties to keep an eye on them. So
That's a different question. I am asking the people that you get to come in here now. I see it all the time. I don't know about others. And I was wondering
Okay, we're out of time for this. Hold your question. We're going to reopen up for questions in a minute. We're out of time for this session. We're going to open up the next session. Now we're going to have a 20-minute, and this is our final session, 20 minutes for question and answering for either one of the candidates that are here today. Let me get this lady, she had a question first. I'll come back. I know this lady in the back had one, and I'll come back to you. But she had her hand up first, so go ahead with your question. We got 20 minutes for Q&A.
Well, I do have a license. Yes, I have a license. But I'm inactive. Pardon me? No, it's not a conflict. In fact, it complements the interests of the village. No, are you an owner here? Yes. Well, let me address that by saying that what we have here is 832 pieces of real estate. Now, why wouldn't someone who's familiar with real estate be on the board? I mean, this is what we have to work with. We need knowledge of what the mechanics of the real estate industry consist of. We don't get accurate information from our sales and leasing report every month. They don't tell you how many properties are in foreclosure. They don't tell you how many properties are on the market. You don't get enough detailed information to know what your property is worth. As an owner, you have the same right to the information of official records as an owner.
Okay, ma'am, you had a question?
Yeah, I have main question actually about everyone. Michelle said something about there was excess money that she would like to see given back to the owners. What about paying off that silly little $10 assessment that the manager?
Yeah, the SBA loan.
Okay, I'm sorry, do you want to direct that to all the board members to answer?
Yeah, I mean, it's just a general question. I mean, it seems.
I think the balance on that loan is about $400,000, but it's only at 4% interest, which is very low. Maybe Jerry.
She addressed the question to each board member.
That subject recently came up, and the answer to that subject was that we're not allowed to. Okay, the government, the SBA doesn't allow prepayment, so that's why we're not prepaying it. We cannot do it. Okay, only by insurance proceeds can it be repaid, which we did pay down $500,000 from insurance proceeds, but the balance cannot be paid down.
Okay, I guess that about will sum it up, unless you want to add something to it.
Although the loan couldn't be paid down, okay, the money that the people are paying, we could take that money and put it aside so that people won't be taxed for that anymore. In other words, having to pay that. In other words, if it would be allowable, I'd have to review the budget again and see where we're at. When I was talking about getting money back to the people or lowering something in one way or another, you have to be able to review everything. Raises for employees, for example, okay? At the last budget meeting when I was there, didn't even want it in the budget. I wanted to put that as a reserve or some other name or tag upon it, because to me that implements that this is what's going to happen. When the economy's this bad and people are losing their jobs, and they were looking to put in the budget a raise for all employees, including KMW, okay, who's only been here for 7-8 months. I had an issue. Okay, there's a lot of different ways that we can cut back on money here and save. When people talk about the gym and other things, there's a lot of things. I'd like to have a signage for the gym, see how many people actually utilize it on a daily basis.
Okay, Tara, did you want to add something to that question? You're next. Just got to address the question. Come to you.
I don't really, no, my expertise here is more directed towards other things. I'd probably take the recommendation with regard, reason on the way they're advising on some of these things.
Okay, ma'am. You're up, and just please mention who you directed the question to.
I basically have a very simple question. We have beauty surrounding us, but we have disharmony. And one thing negates another. If we cannot, I think that's top priority, have harmony and peace in this board of directors. And you look at the turnout we have. Look at the people who are
What's
up
your question?
My question is, how do we go about getting the most important thing done? It's very important. I don't care who answers it, and I think, I don't
By
know
working
how it
together.
can be overlooked.
Music lessons.
The answer is by working together. That's, I know, my goal.
I think the answer
Okay,
is not
folks.
putting each other down.
Let
I think they
the
need to get
candidates
along.
answer each one at a time.
I think everybody on the board needs to get along as a family, and there can't be disagreement. I understand that, and I've seen that myself firsthand. If one person is slandering another person, the worst thing you could do is turn around and bring that person up. I work with, I run 7 doctors, 18 employees a day, and let me tell you, a lot of women, when they're especially in their 30s, they're very catty, and I have to keep them always in harmony. I'm a really good harmonizer.
I think the answer to that, I stated earlier, is transparency. If everything is out there and open to facts, it's only when the facts aren't there that you have rumor and you have rancor. Okay, but if you have transparency and everything, the facts are available, then that negates a lot of the nastiness. Just stick with the facts, that's all. Objective facts.
Well, we have people.
We're not, you ask a question, we're giving
Michael,
you
you
the
have an
answer.
answer?
Okay? We don't have to say.
Yeah. I would just like to say one thing about the money that could be used for the village and maybe returned to some of the owners that belongs to them. There's $110,000 in a restricted account that belongs to the owners. And most of this money consists of, if you moved in here in the last 7-8 years, you paid 3 months of maintenance in advance, which is held in escrow. Unfortunately, you didn't get a receipt. So this money, a lot of people forget about this, but it's 3 months maintenance that's sitting in a restricted account. That after 3 years or 36 months of on-time payment of your maintenance, by written request, you're entitled to this money back, and it's anywhere from $600-700 to $1,200-1,300. People forget that it's there, they forget to ask for it, and I suggest, in spite of the fact that you don't have a receipt, you probably can't find your canceled check anymore, that's something we need to address and get this money back to people.
Eric, do you want to address that question that this lady had?
Just that it's our hope to try to have harmony. We want harmony. That's the only way we're going to achieve anything. So we'll try to work the best we can. You know, everyone has a strong opinion usually on matters, so you just have to try to bring those opinions together.
Sarah? Yeah.
I'm going to ask a question. This question is for Jerry. We just got a settlement check for $1 million, so we now have $1 million. You were the only one that was against that settlement. I just want to know why. I love $1 million. I don't like people to turn it down, so can you just tell me why?
I'm glad you asked that question.